guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new idontworkherelady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled I Have What Will Become Your Food, But You Don't Want It. About 2 months ago I got a job as a commercial driver delivering various kinds and forms of meat to restaurants and shops. Roughly 80% of it is chicken and goes to KFCs and Swiss chalets and comes in 50-pound boxes, 22 kilograms for the civilized of us out there, that I move from my truck into the coolers of whichever place I'm at the time using a dolly and sweat. At the time this story takes place, I'm in the back of my truck removing boxes from the pallet that they are loaded onto the truck as and into a neat stack for transport into the store. A KFC as it happens. When the epitome of a Karen pops her head into view, she even had the haircut, and begins yelling about something. Given that my reefer was running, a refrigerator built into the truck to keep the box of the truck at an appropriate temperature, -2°C in this case. I couldn't understand what she was yelling about. It's pretty loud when it's running. Given that I was on the job at the time, I didn't go with my initial impulse and tell her to duck off and instead walked to where I could hear what she was saying and asked, "Is there something I can help you with, ma'am?" Well, instead of her acting like a reasonable person and responding with something resembling English, she begins screeching. From what I could pick out, it was mostly nonsense and screeching with the occasional understandable phrase. She's upset about having to wait so long for her food and how there's no one at the counter, and so decided to do the only obvious thing and come bother the guy in the back of a commercial vehicle throwing around boxes and not dressed in anything resembling a KFC uniform. Deciding that I had enough of this nonsense, I hopped down from the back of my truck and got the manager of the store telling her that there is a customer harassing me and would she please do something about it. Being a reasonable sort, and also because she wanted me to complete my delivery and give her the chicken that her store was almost completely out of, she engaged the Karen and I went back to my truck. I don't know what went down after that. I was in the back of my truck and haven't been back there and so haven't been able to ask. But the police got involved, Karen got arrested and I got a free meal out of the bargain. The manager gave it to me. All in all, a decent day. The next story is titled Just Because I'm Wearing a Polo Doesn't Mean I Work Here. A couple months ago I went to a college visitation with other high school seniors. As part of the experience we went to a trampoline park, and I decided to wear my very comfortable polo. We get there, and I'm hanging out with my friends who also went, when someone comes up to me and asks to be let into an area that needs staff attention. I politely said sorry I don't work here, and the guy seemed embarrassed, so I told him no worries and that I thought I saw a staff member over somewhere else. I don't know what it is about a polo, but people think it means you work there. The actual staff members were in t-shirts with the brand plastered all over, so I'm not sure what made him think that me of all people worked there. No crazy Karen, just a fun story I wanted to share. The next story is titled I Work for the Company Not This Store. So a year ago I got a job at a certain sub-store. This incident happened 5 days after the fact. I was working at one of the sub-stores in my town for a few days when I got a break due to a incident I was involved in. About 2 days before I had to go back to work I decided to visit the other store in town. When I get there I was surprised to see it was packed with customers, as at the one I work at we would be lucky to get one customer a week. Anyway, I'm waiting at the front of the line about to order when Karen taps on my shoulder. Now I'm a very jumpy person, so when she touched me I instantly turned around. "K. 'Bout time you prick, when someone is talking to you listen." Me. What? K. Well, don't stand around looking like a dopey crap, make my sub. Me. I'm sorry ma'am, but I don't work. K. Don't give me that BS, you do work for this company, I saw you at the other crap show. It was around that point that one of the employees came out to see what was going on. Let's call him J. J. Excuse me ma'am, what's going on here? K. This dopey ass MF is refusing to do her job. J fell silent at this. Me. First of all, he doesn't have a job here. It was at that she looked like I had thrown a brick at her. K. Excuse me you stupid crap, you clearly work here. I got very defensive about this, but before I could retaliate the cops walk in. Ow. What's going on here? K. Oh good, thank God you're here. This worker insulted me, saying that she would punch me if I didn't get out of the way. I went to say something, but I noticed that the other police officer was my Navy cadets leader and fell silent. NCO. Ma'am, that man wouldn't say that. K. Are you all ducking retarded? She clearly is female. Side note, I'm not female, I just look the part and tend to wear pink a lot. At this point NCO calmly asked for Karen to calm down, but Karen turned around and attempted to, I could not make this up, pull off my shirt. I retaliated and accidentally threw Karen over the half wall next to me. K. See, that ducking prick attacked me, I want her arrested. You could guess what happened next. She got arrested, all the while screaming about incompetent employees. The next story is entitled Neighbor Allows His Kids to Play in My Yard Without Permission and Break My Property. This happened a while ago, but reading this sub made me think of it. We have had a number of terrible neighbors over the years, but this one stands out. This particular family would let their kids play outside unsupervised all day, and the kids would frequently come into my yard. I don't mind kids playing in my yard necessarily, but I can't be responsible for them. We nicely asked the dad several times to keep his children in his own yard, and he would say things like, our yard is small and they need space to run around. Sometimes he would bring them back to his yard, but usually within a few minutes they would be back. One time he and a few other adults who had also brought their kids were outside having a get-together. The adults were sitting around talking and the kids were playing in our yard and trashing our swing set. We said something to them and they glared at us and then brought the kids back to their yard. We went out for the day, and when we came back 2 of the swings on the swing set were missing and a seesaw that was attached to it had been completely broken off and left there. The dad had left a note for us on our door, which said, my kids broke your swing set. I tried to keep them off it, but kids will be kids. I can dispose of it for you if you want. We were so fed up at this point that we didn't even want to deal with him, so we disposed of it ourselves. Thankfully that family moved away shortly after and no one got hurt on my property. I wouldn't want to deal with that idiot in a frivolous lawsuit. The next story is titled No. I don't work for the university, I'm not going to carry your bags, leave us the heck alone. Hi gang. We, equals GF and me, met our first real Karen in the wild and OMG. I'll never look at this channel the same again because I can now truly imagine some of the situations that get shared here. Backstory. I live in a town in the Netherlands which has a university that is also internationally known. As a result we get a lot of foreign students here which, in my opinion anyway, is what makes this place so nice to live in. When shopping for example you can easily run into people speaking English, obviously, German, French, Spanish, and there are even Chinese and Japanese students here. I kinda enjoy that international character, especially when you keep in mind that my hometown is actually rather small. Anyway, my GF has an overseas cousin living in Japan who got accepted to attend the university. And since my GF hadn't seen her cousin for many years she was obviously really looking forward to meeting up again once we learned of this. Things to know. My GF and me don't live together, but we go visit each other every weekend, either her or my place. Obviously she came over to me this weekend. Another thing is that I often enjoy wearing a body warmer versus a regular coat, which apparently sometimes makes you stand out a bit. But really not that much more from someone wearing a red or bright yellow jacket, which is sometimes also a thing over here. Alas, when this incident took place the cousin had been here for roughly a week or so. The meet. So it's Saturday, the weather is very nice and so off we go. Now, the university doesn't really have a dormitory, as you often see in the US, but from what I heard they do maintain a few buildings around town where some students are invited to. Most students need to take care of their own housing though. But the cousin got lucky and was invited to stay in one of the buildings maintained by the university itself. When we got there it was somewhat busy because there were a few new students moving in, so we met up outside in front of the building. My GF and cousin were very happy to actually meet in person again, so yeah. First moments there was a lot of Japanese going back and forth, but eventually they decided to switch to English because they figured this was more fair towards me and now I could also join the conversations. I didn't really mind though, I actually learned a few new Japanese phrases. So here we were, talking in English about stuff when we're suddenly met with, finally some service. You can stop talking to those bimbos now and get to work, here, and when the three of us look over to where this tirade was coming from we see a filled out woman with that hairstyle, sunglasses, the works as she drops 2 suitcases right next to me, followed by a bag she was wearing over her shoulder and then proceeds to walk towards the building. What the heck? Madam, what are you doing? You shouldn't just leave your bags here. I tell her but to no avail, she completely ignores me and just walks inside the building. Bimbos? my GF says, asks. I tell the ladies that we're just going to stand somewhere away from the suitcases since these aren't ours. When the cousin asks if that isn't dangerous because someone could steal them, my GF and me basically tell her that, screw that. We're not going to look after someone's luggage after they just insulted us. My GF excuses herself to me and explains to her cousin, in Japanese again, that the culture in the Netherlands is very different from that in Japan and that she needs to be careful about this because some people might otherwise take advantage of her sense of morale. The twist. Because I couldn't really participate in that conversation, I started paying more attention to our surroundings again and noticed that a student had come out of the building, noticed the suitcases and was now looking around. When he noticed me looking at him, he asked me if I knew whose suitcases they were, and I told him that, een of Andir arrogante Amerikaans trut heeft die achtergelaten. Translation. Some arrogant American idiot has left those behind. And the very moment I told him, I noticed that he immediately knew who I was talking about. He tells me that she was the mother of one of the new students and she had been nothing but trouble for the past days. However, because they couldn't really do anything about her, they just tried to ignore it as best as possible. Also because the daughter was nothing like her mother at all and even profusely apologized several times for the sometimes mental behavior. One of the reasons the daughter decided to attend this university was also to get away from her mom in the first place. Fortunately enough, the mother would be gone in a few days and that would be the end of it. So people just figured they'd cope while it lasted. Next he grabs the suitcases, declines my offer to help, and tells me that he'll take them inside the building to keep them safe and he'll let the student know about it. Say, if anyone other than the harpy lady asks, please tell them that name has them. Otherwise could you please just ignore her or something? I know I'm asking a lot, he tells me. I smile, nod but tell him no promises, and meanwhile the ladies had switched back to English again. This time we're talking about shops that are available. The cousin tells us that she's lucky to have found a discounter, Aldi, but it's somewhat far away. After which GF and me tell her that there's a Lidl closer by, which is also not too expensive. One thing leads to another and we soon decide to go over there, also because GF and me had to do some shopping anyway. So the cousin runs inside to grab her bag and some other stuff while GF and me wait outside. The fallout. Sure enough, harpy lady shows up again, spots me and storms over. Hey you, where are my bags? She yells. I tell her. How should I know? Maybe try asking inside. And she looks pissed. No, that is your job. You go get my bags already, right now. Is this for real? Are we actually experiencing a Karen in the wild? It was then and there when I decided that I would write this up. Especially when I replied. Madam, this isn't my job, I don't work here. She almost cuts me off. Shut up, of course it's your job. You're wearing the uniform. At which point my girlfriend completely loses it in laughter, which visibly annoys the harpy lady even more. You call that a uni OMG? That's a uniform. My GF stammers, she now officially has the giggles, poor me. How stupid are you? And she laughs some more, almost doubling over. See? We actually had a small argument about my choice of pants that morning. I wore a rather worn-out pair of jeans of which the end of the pipes were basically torn in half because I figured I'd just wear it despite it being a little bit too long for me. Strong boots plus little disregard for puddles plus just do it eventually took their toll on the pipes. I think it looks kinda rough, rugged, better than people who wear pants with holes in them. But my GF disagrees, though she does respect my choices, bless her. But yeah, what uniform? Alas, now we had an enraged harpy lady. What's your name? I'm going to report you to the management, she yells at me. My GF's giggles now also started to have their affect on me, so I go. You don't need to know our identification. Even briefly making the gesture a bit, which obviously triggered my girlfriend even further, which in its turn enraged the harpy lady a whole lot more. She actually turned red. How dare you make fun of me? This is all your fault. I'll have your job. I'll sue. Just you wait. You're going to pay big time for my damages and once my lawyers. And then I followed up on something that I actually remembered more people mentioning on this very same channel, which was already fully in my mind by then. I raised my finger and moved it straight into her face. Much to my surprise, this was the very first time in my entire life I ever did that. And it actually worked. She actually piped down, giving me the opportunity to retort. I told you, I do not work here. I don't work for the university. I don't work for this building. I am a visitor. I even tried to warn you about this, but you chose to ignore me. What kind of idiot just dumps their suitcases next to a complete stranger in front of a building? The shopping. At this time the cousin comes out again, sees the commotion, but my GF quickly snaps out of her giggles, at least for the moment, which is all I noticed, and beacons her cousin over while she starts walking towards the gate, giving me a quick pat on the back to make me aware of this. So I tell the harpy, "Go inside, try asking nicely if someone knows about any unattended suitcases, and leave us the duck alone," while I'm starting to follow my girlfriend, which is followed by a, "How dare you?" To which I say, "No, how dare you," and we walk away. As we're 5 or so minutes into our walk with casual chatter, my GF suddenly says, "She's following us." We decide to ignore her, and went our way to the supermarket. We do our shopping, GF and me even decide on a little courtesy gift, so when we're standing in line before the registers, GF tells her cousin that we'll be paying for her groceries, which almost brought her to tears. She was very appreciative, really nice girl. And then we got into the second act. Suddenly the woman started screaming and shrieking that, "I need a manager, those a-holes stole my luggage," which immediately sent my GF into giggles again when she murmured, "Our Royal Highness's masked luggage. We saw Spaceballs just the night before." As could be expected over here, nothing happened. We paid, bagged our stuff and left while the woman kept shrieking when I suddenly heard an alarm going off just as we went outside, but for obvious reasons we didn't stuck around, nor did we see her following us anymore. We actually did learn what happened though. Aftermath. This evening my GF gets a text from her cousin asking if we could meet in the park. In the evening, strange, but we go over there and sure enough cousin's there with another girl. This girl turned out to be the harpy's daughter, who immediately apologizes to us, telling us over and over how sorry she was for what happened. She learned that GF's cousin was somewhat involved in the happenings and thus asked, plead, almost begged her if she please would allow her to apologize in person to us. Writing this up still makes me swallow uneasy, this still gets to me. I really feel bad for the poor girl. At the same time I also really admire how she manages to distance herself from all the crap that her mother is pulling. Seriously, if she would ever ask for help, then both GF and me will probably step right in even though we don't know her. Yeah, that girl was nothing like her mother, nothing at all. The apple can fall far from the tree, it seems. I honestly felt, and still feel, sorry for the poor girl, really, because she was very sincere, very honest, and really a fun and cheerful person to be around with. We're even planning to invite her to a future shopping with the 4 of us. See how that goes, me and 3 giggling girls, oh dear. But what happened? Enter the Netherlands, where no one pays any attention to screaming lunatics. Unless of course they try to leave a store with stolen goods. It seems she took something out of our cart, but although none of us noticed her doing that, my GF did notice the item, candy, missing, so she just grabbed it again from the racks next to the registers and we checked out as if nothing happened. When we just bagged our things and left, versus getting upset over our missing item, I guess, the harpy lost it and ran after us. Which triggered the alarm, which triggered security, and because of her actions several cashiers already had their eyes on her, so when she did make a run they immediately jumped her. No, she didn't spend the night in jail or anything. In the Netherlands we take great care for our criminals, but according to the daughter, really nice girl, the experience did have its effect on her mother. Not a positive one though. It seems the mother is going to sue Lidl once she's back in the States because they served someone who stole her luggage. Even the fact that GF, the daughter, got her suitcases back afterwards doesn't seem to change this. Typo. My bad. Tomorrow she'll be gone though, and we can sleep easy again. My heart goes out to all our US Redditors who risk having to deal with this kind of stupidity on a daily basis. This was a tiring, taxing and bizarre experience, and I hope I'll never meet a Karen again. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.